All right, let's go. Oh, time for your Sunday morning Florida Panthers therapy session. It is cold in this room. And the reason why it's cold in this room, and at least I have finally discovered it, is I have my nice little trusty heater right here. It's actually not so small, it's big. And last couple of times I've used it, it's not really warming up the room all that much. It's crap, it's getting ready to die on me. And what I figured out this morning is it's the heater my daughter used while she was here a couple weeks ago. And she turned down the little dial from like 10 where it's hot to 1. So I've been sitting here running the heater on 1 and it's 38 degrees and windy outside. So my ears are cold. So if you complain too much about the team, I might not be able to hear you. So here we are. I think a week ago, it wasn't that long ago where one of the intros for the recap, I said something to the effect of now the team won't lose a game. So that's my bad. That's on me. That's my bad. Jeez. So now what is 5 out of 6, right? It's 5 out of 6. And you have Winnipeg, you shut them out. You go to Winnipeg, you lose a close game. Okay. Then you lose to the Blackhawks, and it's like, all right, we're going to go ahead and just give you the excuse of a mulligan, etc. We're just going to play it cool. And then you get a 2-1 lead against the Avs in the first period. You look pretty damn decent. And then you just shit the bed. Just absolutely just shit the bed. Hi, Amanda. Good morning. She says, I'm really thinking this team is worn out and taking a year off. They are certainly going to take the regular season off. I always say this about Tampa. I don't like to put an asterisk next to what they did because still what they did was impressive. But when they made their 3 cups in a row, they didn't have 3 82-game seasons in a row. And they also weren't dealing with the level of competition. They were kind of, what I mean by that is they didn't have to bust their ass like we did the first year to make the finals. So the point I'm making is not anything about Tampa, but it's just that there's a reason why teams very rarely make the finals 2 years in a row and certainly 3 years in a row, especially in the salary cap era, because now you're starting to see it. OEL, Montour, Lomberg, Stenlund, Cousins. We are feeling the effects of losing just about every one of those players, I would argue. And remember, that was on the heels of the year before, was Gudis, right? Was there somebody else? Well, we haven't been able to re-sign any of the guys that we've traded for like Tarasenko or whatever, which is fine because offense really isn't our problem. But eventually, it's called the cup tax for a reason. And so, yeah, Amanda, I don't necessarily disagree. I think you're going to see this the full year. I think you're going to see them go on hot streaks and keep themselves in the top 2, maybe 3, maybe top position in the division. And then they're going to go on cold streaks when they feel like they can turn it off and coast. And honestly, if you look at the teams that we're playing and how things have gone, the game that is unacceptable is the losing to Chicago. And I know that we've lost in Chicago traditionally, but I don't really care about that. We lost to Vegas in Vegas traditionally until we finally started beating them. That's a stupid excuse. If you beat Winnipeg, lose to Winnipeg, beat Chicago, lose to the Avalanche, it's like, all right, we're treading water. So you have to, the team, being when I say you, they have to play the games that they need to play when they have a game like against the Blackhawks team where it should just be a win. Those should be 2 points in the bank so that on the nights when they're playing the Avalanche or Winnipeg, and either one of those teams are just going to be, full on motivated to beat you, that you're really not fighting and scratching for extra points, and you can just kind of let those games go by the wayside. Because to make it to 3 finals in a row, you are not going to do that by playing a heavy physical and not just the hitting the physical, but the heavy skating, the back and forth, the forecheck, back check, all of that. You're not going to do that for 82 games, 3 years straight and make it to the finals. And so the issue for me more, and I've said this before, it's more about, you can see that, like I said last night in the recap, Schmidt and Boquist are not OEL and Montour. We have an issue. We have a good defense when they play to the best of their ability. Is it a Stanley Cup defense? That's where we're not going to know the answer to that unless we upgrade, because they're just not going to play at their best level until close to the end of the season, if not into the postseason. Hey, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. What is she saying here? So I can move this. She says Reinhart looks good scoring, but it just doesn't look right. Coughing up pucks. I don't know if they can just turn it on. It seems a little bit different than last year. The core guys can still turn it on. Thank you, Amanda. The core guys can still turn it on. I think what I was saying in answer to your question is that what we don't know is how the replacements are going to look in the postseason. We don't know how Schmidt's going to look. We don't even know if Boquist is going to be on the ice. He's too small. Nobody that weighs the same amount as I should be in our top 6 on defense with us expecting to win a cup. That just shouldn't. I mean, that should be an easy line to draw. If they don't weigh more than Jaws, they can't be in the top 6 on the defense. That should be pretty easy. So I have no worry about Barkov, Reinhart, all these guys turning it on, but is it going to be enough? Right? We know Lundell Luostarinen can perform. How Sam Miskevich going to do? He's at least not there busting his ass. If the rest of the team was giving the same effort that Sam Miskevich was giving, we'd be 15-3 in the last 18 games. But if they were giving that effort every night, after what we went through the last 2 years, maybe we run out of gas in the second round. And maybe that happens anyway. But I honestly feel like if you got to Maurice and the guys behind closed doors, what they would tell you is like, look, man, we're just trying to manage these games. We're trying to manage the season. We're going to win the games we need to win. That's why Chicago was so disappointing. You got to bank those points. But I think behind closed doors, they would tell you we are saving it because our bodies only have so much in it. Let's put it this way. Does anybody think they're making 4 finals in a row? Does anybody think they're making it to 4 in a row? Probably not, right? Hockey is a very physical sport. There's only so much time there with the window. And I genuinely feel like, as much as I hate using the excuse, and it sucks to watch as fans because we know what this team can do when they're on, I genuinely feel like they are just pacing themselves and trying to manage things as best as they can. I think the slip up was the Chicago game, and give me some wins, right? Let's beat Washington, let's beat Toronto, let's split with the Canes and right the ship. I mean, it's been a shitty schedule too. I mean, we have played some wonky stuff. You go to Finland, we got to come back. And now you look at this week. I mean, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday's Thanksgiving. Then we play Friday and Saturday. We're home and home. That's obscene. It's almost purposeful. All right, let me get to the chat here a little bit. Kilo says we need to start talking about next year and how we're going to turn things around. I don't know. I don't know. I think you win it this year. I think if you have a chance to win another cup, you win it this year. I think next year is the year that's more likely to be the down year than this year, because you're going to have to deal with the Ekblad situation at some point. You're going to have questions about, is this Bob's last year or not? You're going to have questions about, are you re-signing Spencer Knight or not? I know it sucks to watch, but I think I agree with the tactic that they're taking, especially you start talking about next year. Toronto's going to be better. The Rangers are going to keep getting better. The Devils are going to keep getting better. I think if this team is going to win a second cup, they're going to do so by giving as little effort as they possibly can during a regular season, saving it for the playoffs, and then giving every last ounce of what their body, mind, and soul has left to give in this year's playoff run. And I think next year is actually the year it could be a little bit down. That's the way I see it happening anyway. Metal says they got to be careful. If it goes too much, we could have a scratch and claw, little at the end, risk wearing out our body. No doubt. No disagreement there. So it says, no, this isn't a Stanley Cup defense. That's why we're going to trade Ekblad and Samoskevich for Krug and Nathan Walker. We're not trading Samoskevich. I swear on I'm not going to swear on the Fluffy. What am I? I swear on the Billy Lindsay bobblehead right here. I swear on the Billy Lindsay bobblehead that we're not trading Mackie Samoskevich. Or I will get in a plane and I will drop that damn Billy Lindsay bobblehead from the plane on Maurice's or Zito's house and see how that works out. Manny says Mackey should be with Barkov and Reinhart. Rodriguez is not great. What's the righty? I was thinking about that too, Amanda, but what's the righty-lefty thing? Aren't they both righties? Like, I think he had Samoskevich at some point. I don't want to say he was a left wing, but he was on the left side, and it didn't work. It was just like one particular play. It wasn't really on purpose. Yari says, this is the so-called cup tax. Tampa also pretty much cruised to the playoffs and then started playing. Right. Kazuma says, hold on a second. Chat jumped. Kazuma says, I'll be that guy, but I would not be surprised if we lose 7 in a row. I don't know about that. They're going to fix this. They will. Sybil says, Mackey and Lundell look good, but Lundell cannot cover from what Verhaeghe and Mackey were doing. Well, what was Mackey doing? I saw Mackey come back and save the play multiple times on back checking. So I'm not sure what anybody's seeing about what anybody's saying about what Mackey was doing. I watched it happen twice where he was in on the offensive play and then it ended up going back the other way. But there were 2 times when he came back and he was the guy that came back into the middle of the ice that broke up the pass that could have been in the back of our net. I watched it happen. Sybil says, Verhaeghe looked not great last night. He didn't even smile when he got the goal. That's a bit concerning. Like, I don't know if it was because it was a kind of a fluky goal because it went off the guy's skate or whatever, or if he's actually depressed that he got moved down to the third line. But, I mean, it gave us a 1-0 lead. He scored a minute into the game. You would have thought they would have been like, all right, we're good. We're back. You right? There was nothing. There was nothing there. Metal says we might have a better chance next year, assuming Ekblad departs. The cap will raise. We can acquire good new players and we'll be fresher. Chicago and LA won multiple cups staggered, not back to back. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying the competition in the East, especially as the Devils get better, I don't know. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. Let's put it this way. I don't think that's the tactic that they're taking. We'll put it that way. Whether that's right, and we don't know what we're going to do with Ekblad. We don't know. You know, we can wake up one day and it's some nightmare situation where we let Bennett walk and re-sign Ekblad with the money. And I'm not saying I want that to happen, but it just, the longer it goes on, I don't know. And then you still have to replace Ekblad. Now, I know I have said I think maybe Belinskas can fill that spot, but am I right? Oh, no. Would Zito laugh at me, or would Zito say that, well, we're considering that? Oh, and then, yeah. Great White, since after 5 or 6 goals, Bob is still in net. Why is Marie so afraid to pull him? At some point, what was it Jim Moore said about the Saints? At some point, you are what your record says you are. Bob's not been great. I'm not saying he's been terrible, but it's just everything's going in the net, right? I mean, the save percentage is what the save percentage is. Now, let's extrapolate. This is an interesting exercise. How many shots did Colorado have last night? And why I'm asking that is, how many goals would Colorado have had last night if somebody do this math? Because I don't want to do it. How many shots did Colorado have last night? And how many goals would they have had if Bob had a .930 save percentage in the game? That's what I want to know. How many shots did we actually give up, and how many goals would have been in the back of the net if he had a .930 save percentage? So Meadow says that's 27 shots. So is that 2 goals or 3? Is that 2.5? Something in there? I think the point I'm going to be making here is that if Bob has a .930 save percentage yesterday, we win. So 25. So who's Meadow? Finish. Somebody do the math. I don't have my calculator here, and my brain doesn't work in that direction. If Bob saved 930%, 93% of the shots, how many goals would he have given up? Scientist says we should have kept Stolarz. I mean, Stolarz, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just there's only so much money, right? I mean, there's just only so much money. You know, Zito, for all of the fantastic things he's done, he gave Spencer Knight $4.5 million specifically so that we could keep him, because Bob wasn't looking good, and we thought Knight was going to be the future sooner than later. Jake says .930 save percentage was not going to stop 3 of the goals. Don't care what you say. I mean, and that's kind of what I said last night in the recap, is like some of the goals are just, I mean, the one that went off of was it Kulikov's skate? Yeah, you're not stopping that, right? There's goals that are just going in that is just like a lot of stuff. So Civil says if Bob had a .930 save percentage last night, it would have been 4-1. So to Jake's point, if .930 is him allowing 1 goal out of the 25 shots, and then you count 2 more of the ones that nobody would have stopped, that still is only 3 goals. So I'm not blaming it specifically on Bob. The point I'm trying to make with that is that when we get to the playoffs and we've won because at the end of the game, there's at least 5 examples of us going, holy crap, I can't believe, how did Bob make that save? So if there's 0 of the holy crap Bob made that saves now versus 5 a night during the playoffs, I mean, 25 shots. Like, I mean, this all ties into what I said. This is a good conversation, because this kind of gives some numbers behind what I was saying last night in the recap, which is you're watching the goals, and there's nothing that you can point to at each goal on a consistent basis That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's just the puck's going in the net. So it's unfortunately, it would be easier if it was like, oh God, Ekblad sucks, or one of the defensemen sucks, or nobody's working hard at all. It would be a little bit easier. But it's just, we're just not playing well as a whole unit. Everybody is just playing. I mean, Reinhart's scoring. Reinhart can't miss, right? But for the most part, like Bill is asking, what happened to Tkachuk? I mean, when it is what it is. This is the player he is now. And I don't mean to dismiss your point because you're not wrong, but this is the player Tkachuk is now. After that injury, whatever exactly that injury was, where it was, and how it's affected his game, he just is not the same presence in front of the net that he was. There's just no way around it. He doesn't lay the hits. He's not reckless around the net. When he does get knocked around and down around the net, he gets up real slow. Like real slow. Yeah, Green Lugie's saying the same thing. So, but look, we still won a cup with how he was last year. Okay, and he was a big contributor. So I don't think this is a situation where, like, with the injuries kind of ruined Ekblad a little bit. I think that with Tkachuk, he still can be a very, very viable piece, obviously, of us winning a cup. It happened last year. But the guy that was running around hitting everything like a maniac the first year, that guy is gone, and he's not coming back. Hey, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, brother. It's Happy Sunday, Jaws. You only put this up soon. Happy Sunday, Jaws. Apologies for not being on the streams recently. I was in Iowa for work and was unavailable. Looks like the Cats are in the November slump. I have a lot to say, but first the headlines in a second. Much appreciated, brother. You never have to apologize for that. Never have to apologize. There's plenty of streams that 10 minutes before the game, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. But I'd never wish I was in Iowa. There might be some streams where I wish I was laying on the beach in the Bahamas, but that's different. Let me take a sip of water here. So Metal says, Snowlars has the best save percentage in the league, making $2.5 million. Bob's save percentage isn't in the top 40 for goalies. It's hard because, like, in the beginning of the season, when we've seen when Bob's playing bad, right? He's off his angle, he's missing pucks. I think he missed one against Chicago. Was it against Chicago or Winnipeg where he just kind of whiffed with his glove? I think that's really the only bad goal I always call was a bad goal in these last games. It's just, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but we're not playing physical in front. Like at Boquist yesterday, the one goal that we gave up in the first period. Boquist just got outworked and out-wrestled and out-strengthed in front of the net, right in Bob's crease. And the puck's in the back of the net. I'm not going to blame Bob for that. Right? That said, in the second round of the playoffs, by some miracle, Bob might make that save. And we're all like, oh my God, how did it? I mean, go back and watch the last 10 minutes of Game 7. This is a good exercise. Go back and watch the last 10 minutes of Game 7 against the Oilers. There are at least 3, if not 5, pucks that under normal circumstances, especially how we're playing right now, the puck's in the back of the net. If if you transplanted the last 10 minutes of that game into how we're playing now, Edmonton would have scored at least 3 goals in the last 10 minutes based on how often the puck is just going in the back of the net right now. So I would like to see Bob turn it on. I would like to see them all just like turn it on for 4 or 5 games, right? They already have the nice winning streak. Turn it on for the rest of this homestand and the one game against Carolina, which I still can't. Jake says, based off this 4-game slump after winning 7 in a row. That's what I'm saying. That's if you're responding to me, Jake. No, it's we've lost 5 out of 6. We won 7 in a row, and now we've lost 5 out of 6. So we're bored. We're coming close to evening out the 7 in a row. I'm talking about the losing of the 5 of the 6. What I'm saying is that the way the puck is going in the net now, if the puck was going in the net in the same fashion in the last 10 minutes of Game 7, Edmonton would have scored 3 goals. So the point I'm making is not picking on Bob. The point I'm making is that it's entirely possible that the key ingredient to us winning the cup, and this might sound like but maybe the 2 goals a game defense is more like we're really more like a 3 or a 4 goals a game defense, except for when Bobrovsky is Sion Vezina Bob, and then those 3 or 4 goals that he's giving up every night now turns into 2. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying maybe this is maybe more closer to what we actually are, and the difference is Bob is not doing like what he did with the Bobrovsky, the one where he saved the puck going backwards. That's what I'm saying. Like in the playoffs, he's jumping backwards and, oh my God, how did he make that save? In this streak, the puck's just in the back of the net. And maybe his insane ability to play that way in the playoffs kind of masks some of the faults that the team has. We still won the cup. I mean, look, let's not pretend Game 4, 5, and 6 against Edmonton, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So, Mike says too much puck possession for Colorado. They're getting a ton of pucks through to the net from the point. Almost every goal was off a point shot. Yeah, the puck possession numbers are not good. They don't look that bad because it's more like even, but we should have puck possession numbers that are way better. And it's just all the little things. In fact, somebody asked me about it during the stream last night, and while I was talking about it, what I was talking about happened. And what it was, and what I was saying is that because they were talking about shots, and as I was saying it was happening where a lot of times last year, a team would enter the zone, they'd get one shot, and it was out. It was one and done. And while I was talking about that, exactly what I was talking about happened, which is they came into the zone, they got a shot, the rebound went to the corner, we lost the board battle, Colorado got the puck back, and another shot from the point came. Now, they didn't get a goal, but it's little things like that leading to that second shot or third shot of the possession, where instead before last year, one shot, rebound to the corner, and we knew puck's in the corner, Panthers going to get it, boom, and it's out of the zone. And that's just not happening right now. Yeah, Jake says Billy Smith was nothing special during the regular season, but money in the playoffs. Not saying Bob is Billy Smith, but feels like the same situation with Bob. Yeah, it's just, and Dylan says all the small things I had to. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, brother. All right, what do we got? He says, headlines, Sidney Crosby scored a 600th goal. Ovechkin out 4 to 6 weeks. Blues coach Drew Bannister fired and Wait, when did that happen last night? Blues coach Drew Bannister fired and Jim Montgomery hired. Jets fired their GM. Spirit Airlines declared bankruptcy. And rest in peace, Chuck Woolery. Thank you, MJ. So I didn't check on the headlines from last night. So I guess, when did that happen with the Blues coach? Did they fire him specifically? Like did they say, oh shit, Montgomery's available, you're fired? And then, was it like that? Was it like that? That's cold, man. They fired Bannister yesterday and then immediately. So dude, that's cold. That's like when the girl leaves and already has another guy on the line, man. That's cold. That's cold. Mike says it's Monday versus Washington, a must win. I would say so. I'm not going to sit here and say if we lose the game, we're not going to make the playoffs or something like that. But they have to show us something, right? Like losing to the Blackhawks. Come on, bro. Like Winnipeg, Chicago, Colorado. You got to get 2 points. Come on now. So with Washington, with Ovechkin being out, and it's at home, and you've lost 5 out of 6, if you can't muster up, you're the champs. Can we show it? Can we act like it? Right? So while I wouldn't know if it's a must win, I think it's I think if he throws basically the same lineup out there and they don't win that game, if the same team shows up, you might want to see some really big changes. I don't know what changes we could make, but just throwing stuff up against the wall to see if it would work. Barkov, Rodriguez, Samoskevich, right? Bennett with Lundell and Kachuk, Luosterainen centering the third line. Just anything different. If this keeps happening, just to change the vibe. Like I'm painting my bedroom. Sorry, my nose is itching. I finally realized that part of the reason why I don't want to be in the house and I've been depressed is because everything looks the same. Everything looks the same. It's like I come upstairs. I'm streaming with you guys. I come upstairs. I don't want to start crying. But I come upstairs and it's just like where there was dogs, there's nobody. Girlfriend, nobody. And it's just empty. And so I got all the paint. It's a funny story. Karen had actually bought a bunch of paint a couple of years ago, and they just never got around to using it. Well, now I'm using it. So thanks for the paint, Karen. But it just finally got to the point where I'm just like, I gotta make this change. I don't even care. I'm colorblind. I'm just like picking cans. I'm like, I think that's good. And I'm just painting, just not painting, but painting, not painting, painting. So if we keep losing, that's kind of how I would do it. It's just like, whatever we got to do, put Balinskis at forward again, just anything to change the juju so that the energy changes. All right. Let's see. I want to catch up on the chat here a little bit. Mike says 4 in a row is unacceptable for a team with this much talent. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Bill says Gorgiev, worst goalie in the NHL. Panthers didn't shoot more. Yeah, I agree there. We're not getting our shots in. Man, it says if we don't make the playoffs, would I fire Maurice? Only if they trade Samoskevich. No, Maurice ain't going anywhere. No, I'm never going to sit here and guarantee anything because if we go the entire season with – this is a good question. When was the last time a team made the playoffs and didn't have a goalie with an above 900 save percentage? I'd like to look that one up. Probably at the end, Spencer Knight will have one for sure. Metal says it's more of a please win than a must win. Yeah. And she says, Jaws, I know that feeling, and I felt that way after my mom died. It was hard for me to go to each room in my house and see it completely empty. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I had to rearrange the bedroom because it's just like, that's where the dog bed should be. That's where I mean, it just, and you don't realize, you're not conscious of it until you walk into the room, and you have the habit moments. You know what I mean? You walk into the house and you realize there's no dog coming to greet you, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's right. Hey, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, brother. He says the pulled goalie in Winnipeg started this. Doesn't it feel like that? I mean, it's just kind of cascaded from there. It's a really good point, Jason. It just, yeah, absolutely. It got out of hand there. Mike says capping because we're playing night 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah. No, I know it is what it is at this point. Meadow says, pretty sure Gorgiev had an 8.99 going into last year's playoffs. Okay. Great White says, Jaws, paint the room pink. That will change everything in the house. Honestly, it could be pink. I'm not even going to lie. It could be pink. In fact, hold on. If you bear with me, hold on. Hold on. I don't know if you guys will be able to see the color here. All right, you're going to see I've painted one part. It's like the bluish. No, you're not going to be able to see it that way. You're not going to be able to see it. It could. Now, the only reason I don't think it's pink is because Kyle didn't come into the room and say, it's pink. So I have a feeling it's some kind of off purple or whatever. It don't matter to me. If it's pink, I can guarantee you I'm secure enough in my manhood that one of my favorite shirts when I used to go out to the club was pink. The women loved it. So I ain't worried about it. But it could be. It could be. I don't think it would be, because unless Karen was really pulling something on my leg when she bought it, right? She likes blues and purples. But in fact, I know Karen specifically, I believe, if I remember this correctly, doesn't like pink, because she doesn't like things that are like overtly feminine. So it could be, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Green says, if it does come out pink, just say it's salmon. Yeah, I'm colorblind. You know what I mean? I have when I was in school, my birthday's the end of August, which is like basically when school started. And hey, Dave, if I have enough women, I might go pink. But my mom would bring me to the Sears every year for my birthday presents, and it was back to school clothes. And I'd get like 3 or 4 pairs of pants and 3 or 4 shirts. But what she made sure was no matter what pair of pants and shirt I wore, they matched. Because when you're colorblind, you don't know. When you go to school, it's like, what? You look like a Christmas tree, dumbass. Hey, Kyle, what?
I wonder if someone told you the news already.
Yeah. That the Blues fired their coach and hired Montgomery.
Yeah.
Kyle's just finding out. Yeah.
That was fast.
I know, that was fast. Frank's drunk. How you doing, Frank? Mike says, thought about what you said in the recap, losing a lot in the summer. It feels like we made all the right moves, yet still lost a lot. It was inevitable. Yeah, I really feel like it's the best Zito could do in a situation where he's like, okay, we lost OEL. I really feel like he thought Schmidt could replace OEL or Montour. I think he thought one of them. And Schmidt's not been bad. He's been serviceable. But OEL was just like, what's the word I'm looking for? He just brought so much energy to the table. He just fit what we were doing. The element that we were missing with Montour off the ice, OEL really fit. And Zito just has not been able to replicate filling the same kind of, I hate to use the term energy void, but the same vibe. It's just not the same. And it happens. It just, when you win the cup, in the salary cap era, it's just going to happen. And, kind of like what I said last night. Yeah, Mike, they brought some fun to this team, especially. Right. Green Loogie says, OEL knew where to be and where things needed to be. Yep. And look, in the reality of it is like, if you would have told us 5 years ago that we would be looking at a year where maybe we lost in the second round and that was a down year for us, we would have slapped our own faces. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to enjoy it for what it is. It's hard to watch the team when they're up and down like that. It does get difficult. Hey, William. He says, do I think there'll be any guys who can fill that hole come deadline time? Is there any guys that will be worth the squeeze in the long run? Let me think about that for a second. I mean, couple of things there. I mean, somebody's always available, right? Now, we've had mixed success. Like Sherratt was a waste of time. Tarasenko helped, right? We haven't had a lot of luck plugging holes on defense with guys that we've brought in. And this, we've talked about this a little bit before, where the situation is complicated by we don't know what they're planning on doing with Ekblad. So what I would like to see, which I don't think they're going to move Ekblad during the season because the defense has already got enough holes. And I don't really know if moving Ekblad solves it unless you're getting a legitimate top 4 defenseman in return. At which point you're going to have to give up more than just Ekblad, because Ekblad is not, unless some other team is enamored with him for some reason. The point is that anybody that would be of big help, because we need a top 4 guy. I would prefer to have Forsling. I mean, if Ekblad's on the team, Forsling, Ekblad, Mikhail Kulikov from the bottom pair, or maybe Mikhail Balinskis, and then Kulikov on the bottom pair, and then somebody like OEL on the bottom pair with Kulikov, and now you're set. Problem's going to be, do we have the assets to get them? And then is it somebody that I would prefer, even though it might ding us a little bit, I would prefer to try to save our assets and solve the Ekblad problem at the same time. It's really tough for me to say what I would want them to do, because I don't know if they're definitely keeping Ekblad or not. Like, if they know they're going to let Ekblad walk, I would package him with somebody to where you can get a top 4 defenseman in that you're going to re-sign, and you've upgraded the defense now and later. But if you're dead set on keeping Ekblad, do you really want to overpay for a guy right now? Is one more guy the difference between a cup or not on defense? Maybe, but assets are limited. You could give up a first, you could give up Sordiff. There's some assets, but not a ton. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Yeah, hey, MJ. There you go. I'm because I'm getting ready to read what you're saying. Says, I completely forgot to put in the headlines the Chiefs lost to the Bills last week. First of the year for them, so the 72 Dolphins record is safe for now. Yes, and what's funny about that is the next morning, I was at the gym like 6:30 in the morning, and next to me on the machine, a guy that's working out, and he had his Buffalo Bills shirt on. I came up. I say, are you a Bills fan? He's like, yep. I said, I'm a Dolphins fan. And I shook his hand. I said, thank you. And he almost peed himself laughing. He's like, it was a good win. I'm like, I'll take it anywhere I can get it, man. Thank you. Anybody but the Chiefs. So what were the odds of a Dolphins fan and a Bills fan meeting at 6:30 in the morning in the middle of nowhere in Maryland the morning after that happened? So thank you, MJ. Great One wants to know, are there any teams I would not like to see in the playoffs like Tampa? Well, if you had asked me that question after we won 7 in a row, I would have said bring them all on. Assuming that, let's put it this way, assuming that we still have the ability to play like we did during those 7 games, I don't want to. I think most likely, no matter what's going to happen, if we're going to get out of the Atlantic, we're going to have to beat Tampa and we're going to have to beat Toronto in some kind of order. What I would like to see happen, we'll put it this way. Hey, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Dave. Leaf fans are watching. I know. And it's funny because I was just getting ready to say what I would like to see happen is let the Leafs win first place. We can take second place. Let Tampa get third place. And because Boston fired their coach, they somehow sneak in fourth place and they disposed of the Leafs again. So that then we beat Tampa and we get to play a Boston team again that really shouldn't be there. If you're asking me what I would want for Christmas, that would be my Christmas, right? That would be my Christmas wish. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Frank. Frank says Rasmus Anderson for a 2026 first and 2 prospects. Dave says let the Leafs win. Oh, one more year. One more year and it's all yours, Dave. I want one more cup. All right? Come on, bro. The dog died. The dog literally died while they were winning the cup. I deserve a clean experience. Okay, that's the deal. Let us have one more. Let us have our 2 in a row, and then we will slink off to the corner of obscurity and barely make the playoffs for a few years. And you guys can have at it. All right, with our goalie that we gave you. All right, let me have one more. Yeah, Metal says, and a robe. And a robe. I got to have one. Eventually, they're going to auction those things off, man. And the problem with the robes is they're all like 6'2". So I'm going to get the robe and, it's going to be, a foot too long. Dave says, I just want to see one cup of my lifetime. Yeah, you can take the next one. Let me have one more. Let me have one more, right? Because next spring, which spring here is like June, next spring, 100 tulips are going to blossom that we planted in the dog's grave. So what I want is me and Kyle and Matthias and Matthew Kachuk with the cup standing there behind the dog's graves with all the tulips. Just give me that. And then you all can, that's it. I'm done. All right. I drop the mic and I'm out. And you guys can win all the cups you want. Frank says, my prediction for this year was the Leafs would win the cup. I was drunk, but watched them actually win the cup, right? Meadow, no, I didn't. I did not see the post-game comments. I did not see them. Jesus, 10-1 already? Good grief. I'm going to paint, though. I'll let Kyle just update me on the Dolphin game. I'm going to paint during the Dolphin game. I've turned into my dad. Eventually, my dad got to the point where he realized, I think I'm just sitting here wasting my time watching these games. So he put it on the radio, and he just go putz around and clean the pool and all of that stuff. And now here I am. Hey, MJ, thank you, MJ. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you, my friend. He says, Jaws, you bring up fans, so I'm curious. Which team's fans have a huge presence in a state where the team is not located? For example, there are a ton of Yankee fans in Florida, also a ton of Blackhawk fans in St. Louis. Well, it gets a little bit wonky when you get up to the Northeast because everybody is so close. I'm in Maryland, but I'm surrounded by Eagles fans, not Ravens fans. So technically, it's a different state. Although, it's 90 minutes to Baltimore and it's 90 minutes to Philadelphia. But everybody I know here that's a football fan is an Eagles fan. Well, yeah, Philly's just, I could throw a rock to Philly from my house. So it makes sense. So where I am, here, when you live in Florida, you don't realize how big the state is until you live in the Northeast. In Florida, you can drive 3 hours and not even be out of Dade County. If I drive 3 hours here, depending on the direction, I could hit at least, I'm in Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. If I drove the other way, I could be in Maryland and I could hit North Carolina, West Virginia. It's so compact here. Let me hide that. Did I miss another super chat? This chat was moving. No, Jake wants to know, is it snowing here? No. They had snow in Western Maryland, but where I am is if you look at a map and you look at where Ocean City is and you just draw a line straight until you get to the shore of the Chesapeake Bay on that side, that's where I am. So we'll get some snow from time to time, which this year, I don't know if I want the snow because then I'm just going to be like crying about the dog. So, but no, it hasn't started snowing here. Generally speaking, we'll get our snow in late January, February, and maybe a little bit into March. And it's either feast or famine. Sometimes a normal winter will get like 3 or 4 inches. Sometimes we'll get no snow. And then every 5 or 6 years is like we'll get 2 feet dunked on us. So if we get 2 feet of snow, I'm just going to go to the Humane Society and rent a puppy. I think that's what I'm. Can you do that? That just slipped out of my mouth, but it doesn't sound like. Can I just go rent a puppy? Right? My problem is I wouldn't want to give him back. Yeah, well, MJ's in Chicago. That's you. It's supposed to snow where you're at, right? Like for us, first year we lived in this house, we got blanketed and we had like almost 3 feet of snow. Like literally, it was like 2.5, 3 feet of snow in like a 3-day period. And I thought, oh shit, this is gonna be great. And then we've had a couple of 3 inches and a couple of 6 inches and a couple of winters with just flurries since then. I think last year we had like 1 8-inch snowstorm. So it's fun when the kids are young and the dogs can go play in the snow. But I think right now for me, it would just be kind of a pain in the ass because I'm up at 5 and I'm at the gym. I'm leaving for the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to shovel 2 feet of snow to get from my front door to the van at 6 in the morning when the wind is blowing and it's 6 degrees. So just give me a couple inches at a time to make it look pretty and we'll be good. So, all right, everybody. William says it's currently 49 degrees in Orlando, and that's basically snow for you. I was last thing, when I was, if you guys know, I think it was 1976, it snowed. There were snow flurries in Miami, and I saw that. I went to Mady Ives Elementary School, which, if you know where that is, you just walk to Joe Robbie Stadium. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was like 11, 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, and there was flurries outside, and our teacher took us outside, and we caught snow flurries in our hands in kindergarten. Yeah, it happened at one time, but I was there. So that's how old I am. All right, everybody. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you, everybody, very, very much. Tomorrow, yeah, I'll be live tomorrow at noon. Absolutely. No question. Monday, right? MJ says, I'll have to tell you what stories were like, what schools like in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Great White. Thank you, Great White. He says, rent a pup. Yeah. Or maybe I just get a bunch of dogs and they can rent them from me. Yeah. I'm sure somewhere there's like rent a support dog. I'm sure somewhere there's like you can come to our facility and go into the room with the dog and cuddle and all of that. That has to exist. There's no way that doesn't exist. Everything already exists, right? Like, you've had a true miracle if you think of a website idea and you check it and it's available. Rent a pup has to have already been done. All right, let me go. I'm going to go paint my room while the Dolphins lose. Ha! All right, thank you all for super chats. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you mañana at noon.